Elon Musk has started working on the next generation of starships. We've all heard of Starship, SpaceX's rocket on its way to the stars. From the incredible stainless steel it uses to its reusability and cost-effectiveness. With such groundbreaking technology and innovations, the Starship is simply amazing. You'd think Musk would be satisfied, but that's not the case. This flagship rocket is just the beginning, and Musk has already begun work on a larger, more capable spacecraft. But what else could Musk do to improve Starship? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and comment "I subscribe" to be in the next video. In today's video, we'll be taking a sneak peek into Elon Musk's plan for Starship 2.0. You've probably heard about SpaceX's massive Starship project. When the spaceship and its super heavy booster are combined, the craft will be the tallest, heaviest, and most powerful space rocket ever launched into space. Elon Musk anticipates that Starship will one day aid in the colonization of Mars, a long-term goal shared by both SpaceX and NASA. Elon Musk, the billionaire, founded SpaceX in 2002 after selling two previous businesses, the software service internet company Zip2 and the online payment provider PayPal. His long-term goal was to establish a Mars settlement company. However, SpaceX has been very busy in other areas of space. The company has built Dragon cargo ships and Crew Dragon astronaut spaceships for the International Space Station, as well as launched satellites for a variety of customers using the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. Musk first revealed the ship's forerunner in 2017. The fully reusable rocket was designed by SpaceX to cover missions currently handled by the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, while also allowing for more ambitious missions. The ship runs on liquid oxygen and methane, which means the astronauts will be able to go to Mars, use the planet's natural resources to generate more fuel, and then return home or possibly further out. As for Mars, Musk releases new far-future Mars visions and occasionally changes the names and metrics of the systems for sending crews, cargo, and rockets. In 2018, Musk renamed his Mars colonizing spaceflight system Starship, technically two parts. Starship is the spaceship, upper stage, and Super Heavy is the rocket booster required to escape Earth's deep gravity well, not required for other planets or moons, Musk explained in a tweet in 2018. Elon Musk's SpaceX has given his next Starship prototype the black and white treatment in a stylish new photo. The image appears to show the Starship SN20, serial number 20, prototype during fit checks with the first stage Super Heavy rocket on Friday, August 4th, when the stacked rocket briefly became the tallest in the world. The above supercut video depicts the major SpaceX failures, some international, others not so much, during Starship's early development. The stacked Starship and Super Heavy rocket is the world's tallest rocket at 395 feet, and Starship is designed to perform complex flips and maneuvers upon landing. Many of these failures occurred as a result of Starship being a new system attempting to do unusual things. Nonetheless, the footage is a clear and entertaining example of some of the difficulties associated with SpaceX development. Previous Starship prototypes have flown test flights, sending the spacecraft 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers into the sky from the South Texas site near the Gulf Coast village of Boca Chica. However, the upcoming test flight will be the first time a fully stacked Starship, a Super Heavy atop a Starship spacecraft, takes to the skies, as well as the first time the system reaches orbit. If everything goes as planned, Super Heavy will land in the Gulf of Mexico shortly after takeoff. Meanwhile, the Starship will launch into orbit, loop around our planet once, and land in the Pacific Ocean near the Hawaiian island of Kauai. SpaceX has already begun preparations for this historic flight. For the first time on August 6, the company stacked the two Starship components, a 29-engine Super Heavy called Booster 4 and a 6-engine Starship prototype known as the SN20 atop the South Texas Orbital Launch Mount. However, the pair was destacked later that day so that technicians could perform additional work on each element. Elon Musk's plans for the ship. SpaceX intends to use the ship for an orbital flight in the second half of this year. The ship will take off from the Texas facility, separate from the booster after 171 seconds when it will soft land in the Gulf of Mexico and then land 60 miles off the coast of Hawaii. Musk explained on Twitter that there are 4 items that must be completed before the launch. 1. The final heat shield tiles must be installed. These are 98% finished. 2. Thermal protection is required for the booster engines. 3. The on-ground propellant storage tanks must be finished. 4. The ship's quick disconnect or QD, the arm must be completed. According to a Federal Communications Commission document from May 2021, the company plans plan to launch the rocket on an orbital test flight in the second half of this year. SpaceX Starship, what the FAA wants. The FAA has released a DROT environmental review of SpaceX's program in Boca Chica, Texas, and a 30-day public comment period has begun, which will end on October 18th. The FAA is unequivocal. SpaceX will not be able to launch the Starship Super Heavy vehicle until the FAA completes its licensing process, which includes an environmental review as well as other safety and financial responsibility requirements. The FAA intends to complete 4 steps. 1. To complete a DROT Programmatic Environmental Assessment, or PEA, an analysis of how SpaceX's plan will affect the environment around the site, which can be viewed here. 2. To invite the public to provide feedback on this DROT during the 30-day period ending on October 18th. 3. Allow SpaceX to further develop the program which will be used along with the DROT PEA to assess the future environmental impact. 4. Examine the components and DROT the PEA to determine whether the environmental impact is significant. If that is the case, it will conduct an environmental impact statement. The DROT PEA from the FAA paints a positive picture. According to the summary of environmental consequences, the agency does not anticipate a significant impact in any of the listed categories. In other words, it is unlikely to have a significant impact on the surrounding environment. SpaceX Starship, what this means for the launch schedule. According to Teslarati, an orbital launch in 2021 now appears unlikely. In November 2020, the FAA announced the start of the environmental review. Former FAA Associate Administrator George Neal told Business Insider that environmental assessments take 3 to 4 months. However, nearly a year later, the FAA has only recently released the DROT document. SpaceX's chances of receiving all clearances before the end of the year appear slim, pushing the company's orbital test timeline even further back. In July 2019, Jonathan Hofffeller, SpaceX's Vice President of Commercial Sales, stated that the company's goal was to reach orbit in 2019 before completing the first commercial launch in early 2021. Musk claimed in September that year that an orbital flight could take place within months. 2 major Starship missions are planned for the near future by SpaceX. One example is the Deer Moon flight, which was announced in 2018 and will send Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa and a team of 8 other civilians on a trip around the moon in 2023. Aside from that, SpaceX hopes to send the first humans to Mars by the mid-2020s, possibly by as early as 2026. Following that, Musk's goal is to establish a self-sustaining city on the planet by 2050, which he estimates will require approximately 1 million tons of cargo. Musk stated in 2019 that SpaceX could construct a city in 10 orbital synchronizations. In other words, SpaceX would launch a fleet of rockets every 26 months when Earth and Mars are closest. Doing this 10 times means SpaceX could build a city in about 22 years, which means the first fleet of rockets would have to arrive around 2028. For the time being, Starship and Super Heavy are pretty ambitious enough on their own, but it's not surprising to hear that Musk is already planning what could be the next generation launch vehicle in the next decade. SpaceX's Starship was a completely unexpected attempt to rewrite the book on rocket manufacturing. It's a first step toward creating a far more practical vehicle in the future. Starship 2.0 will be a powerful weapon, and we can't wait to see what Musk and his team come up with next. Are you looking forward to Starship 2.0? Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.